done, we can take a look at creating a mobile version for this website. To do this, we're going to select the frame, and we're going to select an iPhone over here on the right. I'm just going to expand this out to the bottom over here, and we can start filling it out with content. The first thing we'll do is probably grab the hero section and paste it in here. The problem with this hero section right now is that we're actually utilizing too much width and height. I might actually reduce the height here just a tad, so it's about the same as before. And I'm also going to remove the slider. The content in here also doesn't fit in very nicely right now. We could probably make it smaller. So for this description here, I might just change it to 24 pixels. And for this one over here, maybe to 48 pixels, and we'll break the line on both of them. That way we can see them here. We could also center them, and that way they might look a little bit better. And finally, we can copy over this image and also make it a little bit smaller and just place it in below. So that seems to look pretty good. We also have our logo, which we can copy across. And like all mobile websites, they also need a bit of a hamburger menu. And a hamburger menu is pretty simple. It's just 3 lines. So let's actually create 3 white lines here at the top left. And this can later expand out to our mobile menu. So I'm just going to copy paste this across a few times, and we should see it pop up. Let's grab one here, one here. We'll give it just a little bit of spacing, and let's do the same amount of spacing for this line, and there's our mobile menu. Nice and simple to do. I'm just going to move this here to the top left, and the header section is more or less done now. Let's take a look at doing this about section. So like previous, we can just copy across some of the content, but in this case, I'm going to copy over the text first with this read more button, and I'm just going to paste it in here. We're going to reduce the font sizes again. So here I'll do 48 pixels. This one here can be 24 pixels, and this one here can possibly be 18 pixels. We'll collapse down the width for each one of those, so they might break the line a little bit. But we'll also get a little bit of padding here on the left and right, and that seems to fit in quite nicely. The only other thing I want to do is change this this read more button, and in this case I might want to make it smaller, and to do that I'm going to scale it just a tad down here. Also, since we're centering most things, I'm going to center this as well, and all of that looks good besides the title here, which we need to expand out a little bit. This read more also doesn't seem to be centered very well, so I'm just going to manually center that. And there we go. So we've got our learn more content looking pretty good over here. I'll finally copy across this image that we had. And for this image, I'm also going to make it a little bit smaller by scaling it down here and just moving it below our section. So now it's nice and centered, and we can move on to the next part of our website, which is the testimonials. One thing to note is that each one of these sections might sometimes stay the same height or sometimes get a little bit bigger, depending on how many columns and how much content you have in there. But it shouldn't matter too much as long as it's useful on the mobile version. For the testimonials, I'm going to copy over the whole item here. But since there's so much, I might actually just copy it bit by bit. So first, let's copy over this background and place it in here. And right now it is not appearing because it's not in the right place. I'm not sure where it's gone here. So here's the background, and here is our iPhone. And what I want to be able to do is copy this background right in here and move it in. There we go. That looks much better now. So for this testimonial section, let's copy over these titles and we'll paste them in here. Once again, we'll have to reduce the font size. So here I'll do 48 pixels for the testimonial. I'll center it. And this one here, I'll do 24 pixels and I'll center that as well. And then we can just copy them over. These ones actually could probably fit in nicely as they are now. So I'm going to copy over this section here and we'll paste it in with a little bit of padding from the left and the right and make it a little bit taller. And then we can just copy over the text here. We almost don't need to even change that. That seems to fit in perfectly as it is now. We could reduce it just to one testimonial, but in this case I want to keep all three. So I'm just going to copy this across and give it some margin here from the top. Let's copy our second testimonial in here and our third. And I forgot to keep the person here, so let's copy that across one more time. And that is definitely not seeming to copy across properly. I'm not sure what's going on there. It's gone a bit wonky. Let's try that one more time. So I'm just going to grab it over here, copy it down, and grab this one, and copy it across. And there we go. Let's close off this section here, give it a little bit of padding from the bottom, and finally we just need to do our footer design now. So for our footer, we could copy across the whole section because we need the contact us, the form, the sitemap, and the logo. So let's do that. We'll need to make this whole section a bit longer to be able to fit it all in. And to do this now, we simply copy across each one of these elements across, or even reuse some of the elements we have and update the colors that we have on them. So in this case, I'm just going to create the rectangle over here to start off at this level. And then I'm just going to copy over each one of these columns, which is easy enough. Then when we copy it across, we'll see that it just should fit in nicely. Some things we might need to adjust. So for example, with the inputs, I would normally recommend them to have a full width. And all of these texts, again, I would say would be recommended to update their sizing just so that they're all consistent and everything updates accordingly. So there's our contact us. Let's copy over our sitemap. We'll put this one below. I'm just going to reduce the size on that one as well. And finally here we've got our about sitemap section and our logo, which we can paste here below, and our phone and email, which I'm just going to copy across over here. So that's more or less all of this done. We just have our copyright section here at the very end, which we can copy across. And let's put this into our design over here, just at the very, very bottom. And let's copy over this one, and we can make this font size a little bit smaller as well. And that should almost fit in there. It probably needs to break a line and have a little bit more room, but it seems to have fit in there just okay. I'm going to actually make it a little bit bigger. So to do that, let's select the frame here at the top. Let's make the frame a little bit bigger, and then that'll give us just enough room there for the copyright section to fit in. Great. So that's the mobile version done. And as you can see, it's followed more or less the same principles here. The only other thing is sometimes when we increase the size of our page, some of these elements might go a bit weird. And this is just a Figma thing, so I'm just going to fix that up. And I think that's more or less that done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's really fun and simple to play with, and it gives you an example of how we can create a mockup really quickly based from a simple UI prototype. In the next video, we might take a look at maybe building this out using HTML and CSS, or even putting it into a framework like React or maybe even WordPress. But hopefully this is an introduction to show you just how important it is to be able to do design in simple steps.